Did you play with them on that or no?
Yeah, I played with
Yeah.
him on that tune
Nice.
and a couple other tunes.
Well, we'll talk about that briefly at the beginning. We'll talk a little
Yep.
bit about that. Well, Norwood, your tour, and Perk, your upcoming tour, and of course, we got to talk about CanaFest too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I lose you, I lose you. So I'll hang as best I can.
We hear a lot of people get lost at Burning Man. Just saying.
Oh yeah. It's the trippiest thing. This thing, I'll tell you.
We're 2 minutes away. Burning Man is insane. Like the concept, it is pretty insane how the art installations that get set up in the middle of nowhere and how they get them there to set them up. Like it's pretty freaking insane.
Right. Yeah, it's wild.
Are we going live on YouTube?
Sure. We're live on YouTube, you guys. So if you're watching us on YouTube, we got another good show tonight.
That means you're alive.
Our last show, who's going to thank our last guest?
I'll thank John Karabi, and he's got a show September 10th at the Roxy with Dead Daisies.
He read my form. I love it.
And he's one of my favorite jokers. I love his sense of humor.
Oh, you guys, you wouldn't believe I watched the whole I Want to Rock show, which our guest Vicky Hamilton is on. Karabi was on it and he was amazing.
He was
amazing, and he has his story about his dad and everything he went through with Motley Crue. I mean, I started crying when I watched it. It was like, oh my God, it was really, really good. And even Kip Winger's story, from Winger.
Of course.
We lost Scotty. Come back,
Do
Scott.
I know Winger? Of course I know Winger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know both those guys.
But it was a good show. It really was a good show. And Vicky's in it. And Vicky's got a great story about it too. She was the manager that, was the starter manager. And then when all these guys went somewhere, they dumped her. And, she was one of the only females back in the 80s. I can relate to a lot of what she went through.
I remember. I talked to her. I met her in Nashville because my friend Marissa. She stays with Marissa when she's in Nashville, and that was right when she was putting the book out and stuff. She was really nice. She came to my gig.
Oh wow! And I met her through a friend of mine in London that I had no idea, and all of a sudden,
Going live on Facebook.
All right.
Oh,
Hey,
we
guys,
are live.
hello.
Mikey, I got you back to you, bro.
hey Mikey.
Mike, what up, dude?
Who's in the mask?
That's
All right, you guys ready?
Oh, wow.
Storm happening.
Crazy.
What up, Mikey?
How much? How are you?
You ready for Humboldt?
Fuck yeah.
All right.
He's gonna smoke. He's finally gonna smoke some weed.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we're gonna go live. It's that time. It's that time. Here we go. Are we good, Mark? All right, here we go, guys and girl.
In your general direction.
The Rock and Talk Show, Beyond Backstage, with your hosts, Norwood Fisher, Kenny Olson, Scott Page, Stephen Perkins, Sheila Conlon, and David Moss.
And welcome to the Rock and Talk Show. This is show number 81. Show number 81. I'm the Moss Man. This is the bi-monthly show that dives deep into the entertainment industry, the business, the stories, the culture, and everything in and around it. And let me quickly introduce my amazing co-hosts and friends. We've got up here Sheila Conlon from the Conlon Company. Over here or there, wherever it ends up being. Norwood Fisher from Fishbone, Trulio Disgracious. Down here, all the way from Burning Man, live from Burning Man, we've got Scotty Page, Pink Floyd, Supertramp, Toto, Kenny Olson, the legendary Kenny Olson, Kid Rock, Twisted Brown Trucker, Experience Hendrix, and last but not least, the one and only Stephen Perkins, Jane's Addiction, Porno for Pyros. It's the first time we've all been like kind of, you know, maybe last time, but I think we were still, Norwood was in and out. Norwood
right.
was there, but Norwood was asleep. I think Norwood was asleep the whole show.
I definitely like came out of a stun zone.
Well,
That was a good day though.
It's
So,
incredible.
Scott.
It's incredible that you just got back from a long tour like that. You look wonderful. First of all, you survived it, but it's one of your favorite bands of all time to be out there with for a month or so. That's just congratulations, man.
Like, yeah, watching that show every day, you know, and actually, you know, my biggest superhero giving my band love, right? Like, really.
Norwood, quickly before the show, I mean, I think it's worth this story. Your uncle basically, or is it your cousin?
My cousin.
Your cousin turned you on to P-Funk when you were a kid. Tell just quickly, like tell that, because that's a great story.
Yeah. So like it's probably 1972. I was 6, about to turn 7, I'm pretty sure. And my cousin Bud, him and his brother Tim, they babysat me and my brother, right? And most of those. And so he comes over to my mother's house. He's got these albums. He's like, "Can I please play this over here, Elaine, my mom? Can I play these over here? My mother won't let me play them. She said they too nasty." And my mother said yes. And that was my first time ever hearing Funkadelic, the first self-titled Funkadelic, and America Eats Us Young. He's also the same person that walked in at 8 years old. I asked for a weight set for Christmas. And he walked in Christmas Day, looked at the weights and looked at me and said, "Boy, you ain't gonna lift them weights." And he traded me his bass for the weight set with an amp and a speaker and a rock and roll record collection that is my foundation. And he came to the show in Houston with his niece, Aleka, who me and my brother used to babysit. And she had twin daughters that are incredibly cute and funny and musical. And they came on our tour bus and they fell in love with Dirty Walt. We all in the front of the bus. Walt's in the back lounge where he would usually be rolling blunt after blunt. All right. Walt gets really kind of warm and fuzzy around kids, and he's like, and he really tended to them very well. While we're in the front, and we had a brand new bus, and it was somewhat new. It was Madonna's bus, and it was super nice, the nicest bus I ever been on. We had real leather seats, and at the end of the night, Walt comes up, and he has these 2 receipts that he had given the girls, and because he had given them Sharpies. When I saw the writing on, I was like, "Oh no!" And I went to the bus, Sharpie
all over the brand new leather seats.
And
Madonna's bus.
But the band was really cool about it. The band was like, "We'll cover the cost," but it actually was able to be taken off before the end of the tour, and no blood, no foul.
I mean, that's a cool story though. Your cousin who gave you your bass, got you into P-Funk, is on the bus with you at the P-Funk with you.
Yeah.
With P-Funk, dude, that's like a American dream come true story.
It is. I don't think he ever got to see them either.
It really is.
It's his first time seeing them too, and I'm like, So yeah, it was a full circle fit. Like pretty much a little more than 50 years ago.
Amazing.
Right,
Wow.
Scotty.
Yo.
Is he there?
Where are you, Scott?
Scotty looks like he's at the Rock the Casbah video shoot.
I'm
back
at
in the
Rock
day.
the Casbah. I got my little mask on. I'm here at Burning Man. Believe it or not, let me see if I can flip this around. I don't know if you can see. I'll try to zoom in. You can see, man, that you can't see out there right now. The wind is coming up. The dust storms are on. We got our mask on. It's crazy, but yeah, anybody that's ever not been to Burning Man, you should definitely try this one out once. It's the trippiest thing I've ever seen. 80,000 people come to this city. They set this whole thing up in the middle of freaking the desert. I flew in yesterday and they flew me around. I got to come on a small private plane and fly around this city. It's trippy. And then we play tonight. We're doing the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon with the full moon on the main stage at Burning Man tonight. So that's going to be pretty trippy. But I'm telling you, this place at night, when it's lit up, I mean, it is the Disneyland electrical parade on steroids like you've never seen before. And I'm telling you, you never believe it. If I was to pan over here, they just left a whole bunch of nude bodies. Everybody run around in the nude. It's really funny. It's like that all the nude guys are wearing these little tiny little things on the end of their Johnson. it's so funny.
Oh, they're wearing for the dust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, nothing happens. But yeah,
that's a good name for somebody. Dusty Beetle.
You got any special seasonings for this evening at Burning Man, or are you?
I know. No, nothing special that I know of yet. But the night is young. That's crazy. I mean, I'm telling you, it's the wildest thing because you don't use any.
Go to the Lamplighters and tell them you're friends. Go over to the Lamplighters and just there you go.
Lamplighters.
They'll take you right in there.
Wait, I want to see your Airstream. Where's your big fancy Airstream trailer?
Well, you can't see it. You can only see the back of it. It's down. I can't leave from here because I'll be thinking it's back. Not that one, but the one behind there. I can't get to it because I'll lose connection. It's like there's only one little tiny spot here. I have a connection, and it may drop out. It's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. So if I lose you, sorry. I love you to death, but I'll try to get back in if I can.
That's so awesome, though, that you're out at Burning Man. I love that.
I know.
So I can't believe it either.
Yeah, we should. Perkins, tell us about last week's show.
Oh yeah, well, 2 weeks ago we had a great rock star, great comedian, a great front man, and just a great guy, John Karabi, who joined he joined us and he took us for a ride for about an hour and a half, a really great ride. And I want to know more about him. He's singing right now for the Dead Daisies, and they have a show in Los Angeles at the Roxy September 10th. But he is just a wonderful guy, and I'd like to get him on stage one day with Think, and give him a couple of the songs that we know that he can just take on and make it his own. And I think it'd be fun to be on stage with him. So we want to.
He's a blast to work. He's great to be around.
Plus, he's hilarious. The guy's hilarious.
Yeah, his sense of humor. Yeah,
I love him.
So we know his voice is great and his stage presence, but it's cool when you get to know somebody and you get to see a funny side, and that makes you want to hang out with them even more than work with them and play with them. So thank you to Mr. Karabi for joining us, and you're welcome back anytime. And Think X will have a show hopefully one day in your local neighborhood, and you can join us. Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah.
And speaking of Think X in my local neighborhood, up in Humboldt County, next week, Think X is going to be rocking the main stage at CannaFest 2023. So check it out, CannaFest 2023. I believe if you just Google it, it'll come up and you can figure out how to get tickets. But lots of great bands, actually 2 days, September 9th and 10th. Halverson Park, right on the bay. Like, it's going to be a beautiful, epic day. And Think X is going to be there. This crew right here. Plus Derek Day, Roberta Freeman, and Will Champlin is basically going to be there. So it's going to be pretty freaking epic night.
You better be ready for us early because we're flying in it. You better be ready for us, Moscow. Are you flying with us at 7 a.m?
Yep.
I'm sleeping at the airport the night before. Are you kidding? I'm gonna
This
be.
is
I'm gonna go post up on and just find a space. It's Burbank. It's easy. There's nobody
Yeah.
at the airport.
right. But you know what? This is like our second trip together. Budapest was our first.
That's
So
right.
this is another big adventure with the new.
And you know, the Humboldt experience and the Canifest, it's a great community, and it's a great place to just bring music to, because that's all they want to do is, you know, obviously they're great farmers and they're spreading really nice vibes and the beautiful smell of cannabis through the air. And we're there to kind of bring the vibes, you know.
And one of Perk's dearest friends, who he doesn't get to see very often, who lives in Humboldt, is going to be at this show. So that's going to be a nice, cool reunion.
That's Rob Seifert, a great engineer, great producer, great guy. He's got a van. It's a mobile recording studio in his van. It's amazing.
It used to be the evidence vehicle for the sheriff's department, and now it's called Evidence Audio, and it's like it's evidence vehicle, and it's turned into a studio. But Sheila, why don't you go ahead and introduce who our guests are this evening?
Yes. Oh my God, it's so crazy. So Kenny and I were just talking about it, that both of us have met one of our guests before, and the other guest was on our show back during Save Our Stages. So we have music industry executive, author, and manager Vicky Hamilton.
Hey, Vicky, welcome.
Hey, Vicky. And we have a singer, songwriter, and musician, and the operations manager of the iconic Orange Peel from Asheville, North Carolina, Jeff Santiago. Welcome.
Yo.
Buddy, so good to be back.
Hey, you guys.
This is kind of like checkerboard squares or something.
Hey, Vicky, how you doing?
Oh, we one personality short of the Hollywood squares.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Hollywood Square.
Yeah.
You know, Paul Lynn got the best lines. Now, do you think they filmed those lines, or was he quick?
Paul was quick.
He was pretty quick.
He was drunk.
Real deal. That's why he had center square.
Yeah, he got center square, you know.
It was. I used to watch it. You could hear them, like most of the cast of the Hollywood Square, slurring. Like they partied their way through into our hearts and minds.
Sort of like me tonight.
Are you partying over there, Dave? Yes, he is. Well, let's get started here. Let's get started.
Okay.
Vicky and Jeff, first of all, you guys know each other. So
Yes,
tell us let's start with that, on how you guys met. And then we're going to talk to both of you about what's going on in your lives and what you've been doing.
Well, I met Jeff through my good friend Jennifer Perry, who I lived with in Hollywood when I also lived with Guns N' Roses. And I manage a band called Lovely World from Spartansburg. And she's like, I've got this friend that works at this great club there called the Orange Peel. I'm like, well, hook me up. And I don't know, we kind of fell in love with each other.
Yeah.
A few breakfasts and stuff. And he's helped me a lot with Lovely World. And he's a lovely human being.
Oh, thanks, Vicky. Yeah, I mean, Jen hit me up about speaking to Vicky and you know, Lovely World being right down the road. The Orange Peel was a venue that they were always striving to play. And, you know, when Vicky and I got talking, I was like, this is an awesome woman that's a friend of my friend. And then I got to meet the band, and I really appreciate who they are as people and the music they're playing and making. So it made sense. So eventually we were able to get them up on our stage at the Orange Peel too. And this is coming out of the pandemic. This was kind of wild.
Yeah.
And what a great
Isn't it great when we can help each other?
Yeah, I was going to say place to showcase there at the Orange Peel.
Vicky, isn't it great when you meet people in the business and it's a good fit and it's relationship, you know, and the relationship is easy and the goals and the target and the bullseye, it changes, but we all know what it is. And it's to get the artists and the musicians on stage, get them to help them grow. Yep. It's all about, you know, success. There is no finish line in the music business. It's just about growth and help people grow. I mean, I love it. I love helping other musicians, and it's cool,
I have a t-shirt that says egos egos kill talent, and it's really true. Everything we do is so hard. It's like, why make it harder by being an asshole? You know what I mean?
My favorite
How come
my
everyone
favorite
didn't get the
saying is ego is not your amigo is one of my favorite sayings.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Can we go back to living with Guns N' Roses?
Sure.
Well, you know what Clint Eastwood
what was
used to
that
say?
like?
Clint Eastwood used to say, "Dying ain't much of a living."
Yeah, right.
Vicky, I'm trying. What year when you did the book got the Appetite Destruction? I met you in Nashville when you were with Marissa. Brought you up to my jam thing. I remember. What year was that? I'm trying to remember.
Oh God.
When that was like
when I was like living with Guns N' Roses, or when I saw you play. Which one?
No. When the book came out and stuff, I was like,
that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Marissa lately? I've missed her. I moved away from Nashville. I'm back in between Detroit and LA with these guys, and back in Michigan.
I have. I mean, I haven't been to Nashville in a while.
Yeah,
it's been like a year and a half, 2 years.
Was that when we were there together, or did you go another time?
I've been there since then.
Gotcha.
I
that was a great trip.
I did some recording with an artist at the Cash Cabin. I took Jeff to the Cash Cabin.
It was a religious experience, and I mean, honestly,
Jeff picked up Johnny Cash's guitar and went snorted the inside of the cabinet of the guitar, and I was like, "You better be careful. I don't know if that was from his speed days or
Well, the guy who handed it to me totally got it. He's like, "Yeah, that's right." I mean, it was like his 1930s acoustic guitar. I was in awe. I couldn't believe I was holding it and had the opportunity. I had to smell it first before I got the chance to play it.
They become a, I don't know. I mean, there's something about that.
There's a soul in it.
Yeah, all my old vintage guitars, when I pull them out of the case, I just still love that. All those years that have been in
It's
it.
amazing. It's truly amazing how those old guitars just have something different about them. Even they've made them. But I guess it's just sitting around for all those years or something, right?
No,
it's the mojo too, right?
It's the vibrations put into them by the player.
Absolutely.
That's why the Johnny Cash guitar is more valuable than just something that sat around, because he put soul in it.
Yeah, they were telling me that that's where he wrote so many songs on that particular guitar, and that's what really floored me.
My buddy, I have a buddy who bought, I've got to play a lot of really cool guitars through the years. I recorded with one of Hendrix's old guitars, but a buddy of mine in Detroit got James Jameson's old P bass, and it had a set of his old strings in there, and his old strings were still on the bass, and it had a hair pick in there in the case when he opened up when he got it. And it was and he still has it just how it is. It's you go to over and see this bass, and it's open the case, and there's the hair pick, the old set of James Jameson strings, and people have offered him so much money for that thing, and he won't. He's like,
that's a museum piece.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing about musicians and their fingers? If you give Johnny Cash a brand new guitar just out of the box, it'll sound like Johnny. But you give somebody that old guitar, you can't go near Johnny with that thing, I think I've said it before. When Ozzy was asked about Studio A at Abbey Road, they said the Beatles recorded there. What was it like? And he goes, the Beatles weren't there when I was there. It was just, you gotta bring it. You gotta bring it. And,
that was cool, Perkins, when you recorded, me and you and Norwood went over, and you had Picaro's old Gretsch kit that Scott used to cart around his car, and we recorded with it on a few years ago. That was a blast.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. That was with Mr. Kravitz, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Mr. Kravitz. Well, Vicky, you were just appeared in an amazing documentary called I Want to Rock, about the 80s.
Fun.
And I finished it, and I have to say it was absolutely amazing. And bravo to you. I mean, everything that you said in there and what I learned about you, and from coming out here and wanting to be in music, and you found these great talents. You had, the eye and the ear for it, for the 80s hair metal bands, right? And now you're still in the game and you're still doing it. And I don't know, your story was very inspirational and it was great to hear. And I literally have to just give you praise, because that was a bitch of a time.
Yeah, well, I think with I Wanna Rock, I have to like bow down to Tyler Minson, because he's just such a great director, producer, that he knew how to pull it out of me. I interviewed with him 4 times, but over a 4-year period, but I just wanted to tell him everything. It really has something to do with who interviews you, how the piece comes out. Like I had guys interview me that I didn't like, and I didn't want to tell them anything, so that's like real art form,
Yeah.
Well, your story,
you gotta maneuver.
Your story was wonderful. And you give us a couple of the highlights of that. I mean, going back, to those days and times and telling your story, how was that for you?
To do the I Wanna Rock, or
to do the I Wanna Rock?
It was great. I mean, I didn't really have any problem with any of it until I got to episode 3, and it was like, Tyler was really pulling out of me like, well, why did it happen this way? I mean, it was all day long, the questions, and in the end, I was just like, it was like kind of like an AA meeting or something. I was like, well, they say in AA, it's like you have to really look at why people treat you like that. And I'm like, okay, well, why were they treating me like a doormat? You have to like really examine that piece of yourself that allows that to happen. And I don't know, it was healing in a lot of ways. Like, I don't allow that to happen to myself anymore.
You know what? I think that was a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because yes, a lot of times that is true. It's like, why do we let people treat us that way? But the time period and what you were doing, that was just not all about you and allowing people to treat you that way.
For those, just for context, for those that haven't seen the documentary,
right?
What are we? I mean, we can assume what we're talking about, but
it's the 80s, the period of excess. Okay, it's like excess drugs, excess cash, excess rock and roll. I don't know. There weren't a lot of women in the business in the 80s, so it was like sometimes ignorance is bliss. This is what I find, and you probably relate to this too, Sheila, being in the TV business, that you kind of act like one of the boys so that they just treat you like one of the boys. And that's what I tried to do, and quite frankly, I was like really grateful for the strippers and the hookers and all that stuff, because they bought the bands dinner and cigarettes. They took them out in limos. They kept them entertained. It's like, go,
Right. I'm off for a free meal. I don't have to pay for this meal. No, it's true. But I think the point I was making, and thank you, David, for having us bring context to it, because I'm just so excited about it. It was those times, and like you said, you were one of the only women, but you saw the talent, and you were like the starter manager, right? It was like you jumped in.
I can say, because I came from Indiana where they play nothing but classic rock, I'm able to pick a song. It's like you can tell when a song has good hooks, and you can also tell when a band is going to be capable of like writing those kind of songs. Got a couple of young bands right now. This band called Mother Wind out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. They write hit songs. They're amazing. It's like you just know that they're going to do it when you watch them. By the way, they're a big Jane's Addiction fan. Do you think you can hook me up, Stephen?
Yeah, what do we need? Well, it's incredible with Jane's Addiction, because Norwood was there in '86. I was 17. And me and Navarro were deep in Sunset Strip rock and roll. And I knew T. Lee pretty well, and I followed him everywhere he went. But we were very fortunate to meet Norwood, Flea, of course, Perry and Eric. And these cats showed us another side of the world that was after hours, started at 1 a.m. And
Right.
I had to get a ride home at fucking before sunrise, but it was
Were
great
you
because
with
there was
them at the Wiltern house? Were you like rehearsing
Yeah,
with them?
we'd be
I
at
was there. Do you remember
the-
coming in there?
I'm calling
Like
the Wilton.
you shared it with Lions and Ghosts. It's like
That's right. We
I
shared
was
with
like
Lions
a
and
huge Lions and Ghosts fan. you know?
Wilton
Absolutely.
Hilton. You were at the Wilton Hilton.
The
Oh,
Wilton
yeah.
Hilton.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I was.
Yeah. Now, what was the
I
guitar?
signed Rick Parker when he
Yeah,
got
Rick
from me.
Parker and Perry.
I was like
Oh.
his biggest fan. He
Well,
produces a lot of my bands now.
Rick Parker and Perry went to Fist a couple times.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. That was
Too
good.
bad I wasn't there then.
Wow.
But that it's great because a lot of the same people are still making music in
Yeah.
LA. And if you don't jump off the bridge or burn the bridge, you can still do it. It's a pretty shallow pool of great players, but we're still here, and it changes, it morphs, it's ever changing. Tower Records, Virgin Records, Licorice Pizza, Moby Disc, it's all gone.
Yeah.
But we still want to make music and see people jump around to our music, and that hasn't changed.
I have a feeling record stores will come back. Don't you think so? Because it's
Yes.
like vinyl.
I hope so. I'd love
better.
to see Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard again. That'd be
Yeah.
great, right?
Yeah.
Most of the guys that are pressing vinyl for the bands and indie bands and stuff right now are backed up. I mean, it's
no. I just had a good talk with our friend John Hines.
Yeah.
And he's got like a deal with somebody. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it anyway. Like, but anyway, they will press up vinyl in 6 weeks. And I just got off the phone with somebody today that's like, earlier today, it was like, I got somebody that'll press up vinyl and you could get it in 8 weeks.
Wow.
Well,
That's a good
good.
turnover.
So the demand has actually created a foundation for people to go out and get what it takes to deliver quicker.
There's like new places too opening up that do it.
Yeah.
I noticed. I
Yeah.
send notices. I think that's
There's
great.
two in Asheville.
Also, like cassette tapes are coming back to some
I
degree,
know.
and
I know.
CDs.
But
right?
the beautiful, sexy romance you have holding an album cover. And it's 38 minutes, maybe it's 45 minutes or something, both sides together. But you take the time to listen.
I bought so many records just because of the way the album looked, not knowing anything about it. And I buy it and take it home and either love it or hate it. But
and you hear it all the way through, not one song. You give it a listen.
Yeah,
There's a beautiful romance to that. Now, Jeff, I wanted to ask you about the Orange Peel because porno's on the way in a couple months.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Tell me
We're
about
gonna
the
be hanging
venue.
out.
What's the venue capacity, first of all?
It's 1,100.
Perfect. I like it. And then tell me, what's the history? Is it an old building, new building?
The building itself was built in 1945, and it was built as a roller rink, actually. So it was
I love it.
Built more skate, and then it was something else. And so the building's been there for forever. And then sometime in the 60s and 70s, the building was started being used as venues. It even had a drop ceiling, and they had DJs in there. But bands like the Shalites would play in there. One summer it was the Country Palace, they called it, and Jerry Lee Lewis played there. So we did a whole history thing and found all these artists that have been through there. The Commodores for $5 back in I don't know, 71 or something like that. I can't remember. So obviously that's not the building now. It's the building, but it's an updated building that we brought back in 2002. So we just celebrated 20 years as the club that we are now. The name comes from one of the old funk clubs that it was back in the 60s. And so we reprised that for the venue and for the neighborhood. But dude, it's a top of the line club. It's
I know.
awesome. It's gonna be great to have you guys. Norwood's been
we were talking.
No, Fishbone played there in 2004 or 5.
That's right. That was beginning.
That was the first time. I think we maybe played there a couple times, and Yeah, it was actually like my life changed at the first time we played it. Like,
What happened? Tell us about it.
I think I
Tell
know
us
this
that
story.
story.
well,
Yeah, what happened?
this girl followed the band from
That's what I
Atlanta
thought.
Uh-oh.
and
A good start.
I was drinking I was drinking in this period, so I was
What were you drinking? First of all, what were you drinking? What was your drink?
I had shifted to either Salsa Commemorativo or Hornitos was my get down. But you know, I could go up above that easily, right? Girl was and then above. But yeah, I think I brushed the girl off onto our keyboard player. And went, like before, I was like, she looked like a little kid to me. I'm like, the keyboard player was kind of young, and I was drunk. I came in the dressing room, me and my drummer, and we both pulled out our Johnsons and.
That happened at the Orange Peel?
Yeah, you've seen it before, Vicky. Not mine, but you know what happens.
This is before my time.
Yeah, I don't think that was there. Right.
It was all fun and games. Did nothing go further than that. We laughed.
Okay.
That's forever known as called the Santiago party.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It was actually, I took that girl back to my hotel room that night, and then it ended up being like a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
He fell in love. That's what he's trying to say. He fell in love with the Orange Peel.
I definitely, Jeff, I want to get there and play real soon. Have you seen, how's Laura Reed been doing? Have you seen her lately? I haven't talked to her in a while.
It's been a minute since I've seen her. Yeah, it's been a little while. She's not living in Asheville anymore. But she does come through here and then, so it's now and then. So
we need to do like a big friends kind of show there. Get Peter Keys, all the people that were. I mean, Asheville. I mean, that's such a great city. I mean,
Mama's Big Fat Booty Band.
Oh, you know, Booty Band. Yeah, it's been such a great scene. You know, I moved here from Los Angeles where I lived for so many years, and it was a hard move, but it turned out to be a great move for me and music and my career, and being at the Orange Peel too as a someone in the venue side of things as well.
Yeah.
It's been great. I've been really fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, that city, the architecture. Anybody's never been to Asheville.
I have.
I mean, I know we've all been there, but anybody who hasn't ever been there, just to go there, it's one of those cities you got to immerse yourself in because it's so much going on.
Do you know when I was there, I was with Phyllis Diller. I was your tour manager. We were doing a movie called The Boneyard. It was a horror film called The Boneyard.
Sounds like a Fishbone song.
Phyllis Diller did a porn?
So Phyllis Diller took you everywhere, even on location for movies and stuff?
Everything, everywhere. Wow. Anything she did, I was there. Yes.
That's cool.
Movies, well, that's how I met Kenny, because she was doing a play at the Cherry County Playhouse in Traverse City, and that's how I met Kenny. Oh, she took me on her cruises when she had to do.
Was she with you when you met Kenny?
No, she wasn't with me. She was.
But she'll introduced me to her, the gal that was her like day to day. What was her name?
Ingrid.
Ingrid is one of the coolest. Ingrid is one of the coolest people you'd ever meet in your life. Awesome.
Hey, Vicky.
Yeah.
You know, I want to give you props because it's something that I'm like, just as a survivor in the game, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, male, female, I've just seen a lot of bands look at a manager that was actually doing a killer job and have one guy just be like, you know, just sour in his soul and maybe, you know, talks about the other band members bad behind their back, like focus on the manager and turn a band sideways on them. And the fact that no matter what came at you, you kept it moving, you kept you maintained and it might not have been easy to take it sometimes, but you are where you are now because you were probably your instincts, you killed it then and you're killing it now.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
man.
you've
You
had
know,
an
I
amazing
cut and run
journey,
quite a
Vicky.
few times, but you know, I try and hang in there.
I mean, just
I mean,
on that same vein, like you coming up in the 80s, you know, in a career that is pretty much a male dominated career at the time, like how did you get into that? Like how did you find yourself in that position where you got Guns N' Roses?
I mean, everybody, with the exception of June Carter Cash, who I made a record with, you know, and won a Grammy, they were baby bands when I picked them up, you know. It wasn't like I was fighting Doc McGee to work with Motley Crue. I worked with Motley Crue when Alan Kaufman managed them, you know. It was that was like my first one that I saw go from zero to hero, okay? And then I consulted Stryper. And then back to back, I managed Poison, Guns N' Roses, Faster Pussy.
And how though? Like what was the path that led you there? That's just you know, I'm curious.
You know, I came from Indiana, and when I was living in Indiana, I stalked Tom Petty because I love Tom Petty, and I was like, he told me that I looked like a California girl. That was kind of all it took. I was like, I'm moving. So it's like I went to LA. I knew one person who was a nurse. I stayed with her for like a month. She nearly got fired, told me I had to go home. And I saved money and I came back to LA, you know, and it was just like I sort of ripped off the rearview mirror and didn't look back. I mean, I had a lot of really, really tough times when I first moved to LA because in Indiana, most people are pretty honest and you know, in LA, it's like I was like a little fish in a huge pond, you know, and it was like, and I believe people. That didn't last very long, like a few years. And now it's like I check resources and things like that. And I have a lawyer, you know.
Yeah, now you have a lawyer.
Like wrap everything really tightly in paper. So, you know, that's where it starts with me now. It's like, you know, I'm one of these people that fall in love with potential. So it's like, you know, the potential on a league in the real world of the music business doesn't usually work out too well.
Yeah, but that's the real art of, that's the beauty of it. It's one of the things that's missing now is people now just try to latch onto things and be gatekeepers of what's going on, or try to get a piece where you actually have like visions and, you know,
nurture
I just
talent.
picked up a band that like has less than 1,000 followers called the Bluebell Smiles. I made the announcement today. This kid's like Jeff Buckley, you know, it's like,
oh really?
It's like, how do you not get that? You know?
Hey, I got a recording studio opening in Detroit area, so let me know.
Sheila and I are developing a young, pretty freaking unbelievable, amazing, talented band right now too. Same kind of thing. Like they're exciting and young.
Well, this is so funny, Vicky. Your life and my life is very much mirrors each other because Kenny can tell you I managed Kenny's first 3 bands.
Yeah, cool.
And they, you know, Kenny came and stayed with me. But Kenny was very, I mean, his soul was in it, his heart was in it. He had the talent, and he was the most gracious, responsible. Funny. Well, we had a lot of fun times, that's for sure. We always had to go, where's Kenny today? We don't know. But you know, a lot of the other band members came and went, right? And the fights and the this and the that. But Kenny stayed very focused, and that was a good experience for me. But yeah, you know, it was craziness. It was craziness.
That's because the 3 of us have that Midwest trifecta.
Yeah, that's right.
The beautiful honesty between us.
I mean, don't you really think that's, you know, because they only play like classic rock in the Midwest, it makes you good at picking songs? I mean, I think it works for me.
I don't know. I grew up in Minnesota and I worked with Prince. So I had the Prince background. My parents listened to country and Western. grew up on Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings. So yeah, I think for me, music was just so important in my family and in my life growing up. That was always the biggest thing, was music.
I had Detroit, we had everything, so I was very blessed. The Detroit, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Did you know Jack White while you were there?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Like Jack, I remember his first band he started playing with was Goober and the Peas, which were some other guys that I went to high school, lived in the same area. Jack was a few years younger than all of us and started playing with those guys. And and then the whole Kid Rock thing and White Stripes, we all kind of blew up at the same time, and Eminem, and it was like kind of a Detroit got back on the map again. Yeah, but I was lucky because back when I moved back from LA, I was playing in a band with Scott Ashton. It was Fred Sonic's Rendezvous old band, basically. It was Scott Morgan, and I was playing with all these like guys that I looked up to in Detroit. You saw, Motown and that old Detroit city with Iggy, and then it brought me back to my roots. Every time I'm there, I remind myself a little bit who I was. Like when I was living in Nashville, that just got I've been so blessed to be going out to LA and playing with these guys and finding myself again. So
Nashville's really changed over the last 20 years. It's like when I made the record with June in 2000, it was still sort of country. Yeah. Now it's like LA, wouldn't you say? I mean,
but not like the era. Like I lived in LA, and like when Sheila was having me coming out there was, mid to late 80s through the early 90s, and that heyday there was a beautiful heyday in which you were a major part of. So was Perkins, Norwood, all of us, were, for me, a lot of my success was, also when the Kid Rock thing blew up, because I was pretty young when I was out in LA. But it's Nashville, it's kind of gotten, it's more of like that factory thing. What happened in LA was a real beautiful era and time that will be like the British invasion or the Motown, revolution. It's got an era that's, and you worked with a lot of the bands that are part of that sound. So I look at LA in those years as,
well, you know what I hear from LA is broken people trying to make music. What I hear in Nashville is professionals making music.
Right.
And, no matter how great we got in LA, we're still broken musicians. We're not trained. We don't read the charts. We don't follow the trend.
Those are nothing but hoodlums, outcasts, punk rockers.
We're misfits. Love us or hate us. And we got better at our musician. We got better play. We got better at our instruments. But you hear such a professional thing coming out of Nashville, and LA it never was. It sounded broken, and it was shined up in. Ted Templeman or Mr. Rock or whoever the producer might be, he can shine the hell out of it. But the people that made it were still broken. And that's what I love about, LA, Detroit, Seattle. You hear it sounded great, and they're professional musicians, but it didn't sound like it was made by professionals. These guys were troubled.
That was the beauty of it. That's a connection to Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
It all goes back to, that expression. People don't even know that they're emoting at that level, but and that's what connects people to the music is the honesty that's in it, unless it's all spectacle, because we all did like Kiss. It can be spectacle. But
that first Kiss
changed my life. That was my first show. Changed my life.
But that first Kiss record, even the LA punks will claim that as a punk record.
Yeah, and even Kiss is related to Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Yep, there it is.
Great. Screaming Jay Hawkins is he's definitely a pioneer of bringing it on stage.
So what do you think? I mean, Vicky, you're now in the 2023, can't even say it. Like you have your own label and you're managing these bands. I mean, what is the climate? Obviously the climate has changed so much, but how is it working?
It's way different. It all sort of depends on playlisting and things like that. And the good news is bands can like sort of control their own careers, but you still have to point it towards something so that people notice you. So
Yeah.
you still have to market, you have to do PR, all those things. And like when I was doing A&R at Geffen and Capitol, you knew my name, you knew to like bring me a, you know, CD or mail it to me or whatever. With the playlisters, it's like this secret society. You know?
Yeah.
It's like not many people know who they are. I mean, I
Right.
recently have just met Allison Hagendorf. It's like, you know, she's probably one of the most influential women on the planet right now, just because she understands how that stuff works, you know. And she's like, well, who are you going to go see? I go, well, I'm doing this like big Halloween show. And she's like, well, who else? I'm like, just come to my Halloween show. Okay.
Where are you? Are you in LA still?
I'm in
or?
LA. Yeah.
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 Nice.
And is it time for us to hear a little something from Jeff?
Well, yeah, Jeff,
All
talk
right, yeah.
about, you've like got a whole band out there. You do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that side of you.
Well, you know, I've been working hard at it this whole time. I've been here, and that's what I was doing out in Los Angeles as well. But you know, I fell into the venue life for a while, so obviously that took up some focus and time and building the a team and being part of a great team. That's the Orange Peel. So we lived that and breathed it for so long. But once we finally got to another level and the club is good, I've been able to get back to what's most important to me. And I know the last time I met you guys, the first time I met you guys, was we were in the middle of a shutdown. So it's been a couple of minutes, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. And I'm sure everybody has evaluated what's important to them and what they want to prioritize in their lives. And I had to get back to a lot of things that were important to me, and that was making music and sharing music and building those relationships with people. I find that to be the most rewarding part of it. So in that process, you know, since I first met you guys, I lost my mom, I lost my brother, my only sibling, and it really just kind of hit it all on the head for me. And in that, it was music and writing that really saved me. In that process, I got to befriend someone, David Elliott Johnson. I'm here in his studio, which is where we work all the time, and found someone who really understood where I was coming from and understood the idea that finding our authentic selves and putting it in the music and putting the work in on it is really important, just as everything else is in my life. So on finding that balance. So we've been working on a record real hard. The band's been playing a bunch of shows and we feel good about it. Yeah. So done a bunch of stuff with Lovely World with Vicky, and you know, that relationship has blossomed. So so here I am. Yeah.
Well, why don't you play it? Tell us, you're going to play a song, right?
I'm going to play a song for you. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, this is one of the first songs we released as a single on this forthcoming album. The album should be out in the fall here now, but this one's a song called Brother. And well, it's about our complicated relationship and the fact that I lost him. So. My bed, you whispered to me you had to go find that place where you belong. Into the morning light, so holding each other tight, emotions bare. Taking your own time, trying to find what's most important to you, bleeding fear and pain, constantly drawn into you. Take your time and earn your way back to where it began, deep inside of you. return. Face your love that can burn and burn me again. Before my heart could mend, your story had to end when it began. Deep inside of you, when it's gone, there's nothing left to prove. Hold your world closer to the heart and find a way to start. When will you start? When will I start? When will we start?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Jeff,
Very nice.
what's your brother? What was your brother's name?
Freddie.
Yeah, I lost my brother. My brother's name was Mark. I lost him.
Oh yeah. When did you lose your Mark?
Man, I was 25. He was 28. So
Wow.
1993.
Wow. Yeah. This just happened in end of 21. It's been a trip, man, and it's been hard. I think about the things I want to share. I wonder if this still happens to you. Do you like, oh, I would love to call Mark and tell him about this cool thing and share it with him?
Constant, man. It's constant. It never goes away. It only gets a little more faint and veiled.
Yeah.
It never disappears. And the one thing I try to remember the most was him and my hands look alike, and my forehead and his forehead very much alike. So I could look at my forehead and look at my hands.
Like, there he is. Yeah. Yeah. I still hear him so much too, in my mind. I think I hear his laugh, and and he was such a huge supporter of me and music and all of that. He gave me my first electric guitar. He was 8 years my elder, but man, he and again, we had some complicated times together with each other, but ultimately his support of just expressing myself and the arts and having me go for it and do the things. I mean, I miss that pretty badly now, and I'm glad to have this song for him.
It was a beautiful song, and you sang it great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very, very awesome.
I'm gonna say Zoom has gotten better with sound quality, because I was like going, oh my God, he's gonna do Zoom. It's like
I gotta give some props.
It sounded flawless. I was so happy.
Yeah, it didn't get all that weird compression stuff when you hit a certain volume level, and it didn't do any of that. So that was
I got to give some props to my man David Elliott Johnson, who set me up here today. So
that sounds good.
Video
sounded great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, I mean, gosh, we're pretty much getting we're getting down to it here. This was fun. This is a good show. It was great to have both of you guys join us.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Fun.
I appreciate all of you. I have so much love for Vicky.
Really fast.
Yeah.
I wish we were all sitting around a campfire right now and we could hang for many more hours.
We might have to come out for the porno show and see what's going. We might all have to come out and hang for the show in November.
I think you should. I mean, Stephen, I'm going to see you in a month and change here, buddy. So we'll have to figure that out. But guys,
I'm ready for a ice cold IPA, my man.
I got you covered.
Okay, good.
I got you covered. Don't worry. We'll have that when you get here.
We should go and do the Rock and Talk show from the Orange Peel.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That would be fun.
Yes.
I'm having a huge Halloween show at Lucky Strike, and it's free. I have the teenage werewolves, the cocks.
Oh, nice.
And Smotherwind, one of my babies, and Krista Flaga. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, fun. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You have to hit that show and then come on out.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I haven't actually seen Asheville in the
Well,
snow yet. That's
if
the one
you're-
thing I haven't seen. So
If you're in town tomorrow night, come to the Mint and come check out the band that we're working with right now. They're called Familiar Faces, and they go on
Familiar
at 8
Faces.
o'clock tomorrow at the Mint. And come check them out. Come hang with us.
Right, and after that,
Drinks on Sheila.
Drinks on me.
Well, flying out then.
Yeah, come on out. And
They
I
got
don't
a
drink
Scotty
alcohol,
Pippen
so I'm a
too.
cheap date. But
Oh, perfect. Then drinks on me.
Yeah, drinks
You know
on
what?
David.
Well, Pellegrino and bottled water is quite expensive nowadays.
It's
at the Mint.
certainly
right,
is.
exactly.
It certainly is. And Scotty Page will be playing tomorrow night too with my God, Carmine Rojas,
Tony Franklin, Miles Shawn, Jonathan Mover,
Nice.
yeah.
Blondie
The
Chaplin,
I was supposed to
Might
play
be
that
able
show
to
with
make
Norwood
that
Fisher.
8
I'll
o'clock.
be there.
That's right, Norwood. Yes. Oh my God, it's
And
exciting.
I feel bad.
Burke, you're coming,
But
right? We're gonna see you there. You're gonna come out and party with us tomorrow night.
Yep. I'm gonna hang out and actually watch people play. It's gonna
You guys
hurt.
heard it here live. You guys heard it here live.
All right, I'm gonna try and make it. Put me down +1.
Come, you got it. You're down. You're
You
down.
got it. And of course, Kenny's right. Kenny was supposed to be here, but
Yeah.
you could not make it. So you
Yeah,
will
I've
be
got
missed.
and I've got to play. I got a show Sunday though, with our boy Jay Milliken. His new place that he has out in the peninsula. He's having his big end of the summer
I saw
know,
that.
batch.
I saw
So
that.
yeah,
That's
I've got
awesome.
to. Yeah.
Well, tell Jay I
And
said
I'm
hello.
gonna be boating this weekend. It's the last
We're
hurrah
gonna
getting
be
on the Great Lakes.
voting or boating.
That's what I thought.
Odie,
Motorboating.
All right. Well, Sheila, you want to wrap us?
Yeah, on that note, well, yes, I will take it from here. Stay tuned for our next show. I think it's going to be September 7th or September 21st. I'm not sure because we missed a week there. So we got to figure that one out. But stay tuned. And Kenny, you want to thank our guests today?
Yes, well, it's been a great pleasure to have our dear friend and legend, and what an amazing journey, Vicky Hamilton. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
And
me.
Jeff Santiago, that was wow, what an amazing song, and I'm sorry for we're all sorry for your losses, but thank you for all that you do for everything, and I'm looking forward to us hanging, all of us hanging real soon.
That'd be awesome.
And thank you to both you guys for making us a great show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for
With
having me.
that, hang on, and we're going to close the show out, and we'll be right back.
You guys don't go away.
Ta-da-da.
See you next time on the Rock and Talk Show Beyond Backstage with your hosts Norwood Fisher, Kenny Olson, Scott Page, Stephen Perkins, Sheila Conlon, and David Moss. Executive producers Sheila Conlon and David Moss. Producer and director Eric Lloyd. Assistant producer and creative director Mark Armentano. Editor Graham Cooper. Theme music by ThinkX. Powered by JBL and AKG. Artist Relations, TPI Films. Special thanks to From the Earth, ThinkX, The Conlon Company, and Mac. Check us out on YouTube /The Rock and Talk Show. Facebook and Instagram at The Rock and Talk Show.
And we